Heather is a probiotic expert, health educator, and innovator. And for the last 14 years, she has been advancing soil probiotic-based products into the consumer and functional medical marketplace to address the increasing population of autoimmune sufferers and wellness enthusiasts.
I think where we are, we have to look at where we've been, because from my perspective on health, people have gotten sicker and sicker. And we all know this. We all know that there were things that happened with the code shot, with the shot, and they're slowly starting to come out, and unfortunately a lot of people have experienced heart issues, blood-related heart issues that they never have before, increased autoimmune disease. And so all of these things have been systematic, and I believe that we really got ourselves into an epidemic, another pandemic, as I call it, which is bacteria. I mean, we're really at a point because of the overuse of antibiotics, over sanitization and disinfecting and all of the hand gels. We've been consistently killing all of our good bacteria to the point where it's turning on us, and it has been turning back on us. We have to change our mindsets. We have to change the way that we clean our environments, our bodies, our mouths, what we do for our animals, and not just our pets, but even the animals that feed us, and how we take care of, you mentioned it, soil, and how we look at things holistically, from everything in the morning when we get up, all the places we go, all the things we do come back into our home environment, and we're picking them up throughout the day. And we know that we've been dealing with toxins in many different forms for many, many years.
Tell us a little bit more about what that looks like. You know what I'm saying? Like, we kind of know what the problem is. So now, what does the solution start to look like?
Right. So we haven't gotten to that part yet, but we had to look back to kind of see what was happening. And you touched on something that I want to really say here is, we've been brainwashed.
But before we get started, folks, make sure you hit the pause button. Okay, go down below. There's a Rumble link. Go over to Rumble and follow us over there. QFS1776.com is, without question, the holy grail of what's to come. Okay, T-shirts. You got to get yourself decorated. This way people will ask you, what is XRP? What is the quantum financial system? What is this? What is that? And you send them where? To QFS1776.com, where they need to immerse themselves, because we're going to burn down this system down to the ground. And out of the ashes will rise the phoenix. There'll be nothing to go back to. Believe me when I tell you that. Also, our Telegram groups down below. If you want to learn what's coming and you're sort of a little scared, I understand. Believe me, I was there too at one point. And if you need more than $10,000 worth of XRP or $1 million worth of XRP, you come see me. Send me an email at QFS1776@gmail, and we'll get you as much as you want. Gold and silver. Welcome to CarminesGold.com. Don't waste not even a second looking. Cheaper prices just don't exist. How important is it for you to own gold and silver right now? What does it mean to me personally? There's an economy that's about to crash beyond what words can explain. In 5 words, I'm going to educate you on gold and silver. Are you ready? You need to own some. Simple.
Hey, Elisa V here. We all know that legal matters can be costly and stressful. Finding the right representation and dealing with high retainers and hourly bills adds up fast. But what if I told you there's a way to have legal insurance just like your health or car insurance? LegalShield has leveled the playing field. From just $29.95 a month, you get access to lawyers for personal legal matters. From traffic tickets to real estate issues or trust matters, help is just a tap away on your phone. Call or text 516-493-1742 and use code ELISALEGAL to start your journey to legal protection today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mel Carmine Show. I'm Elisa V, your co-host, and we've got a great show for you today. But before we get into this and I introduce our wonderful guest today, I want to chat with you a little bit about the upcoming Quantum Summit 2 in Cape Canaveral. This event is taking place on March 8th and 9th. And as always, I want to remind you about this amazing event that you need to get to and you need to attend. It is hosted by Mel Carmine and his esteemed wife, Amber, and it promises to bring together the most influential minds, individuals shaping the future of science, health, and governance. And there's going to be a lot of emphasis on this where we're going to be talking to collaborators that are with the envisioned RFK and Trump administration and the initiatives of revitalizing America's health and agriculture to restore essential trace minerals to our soils. So I will be there as one of your MCs, and we are so stoked about this. So I need to tell you that the tickets are starting to go fast. Please check out Quantum Summit 1776.com for tickets. And for more information on this, check out the description box. I also encourage you to look at the services of our sponsors. We've got some amazing sponsors all listed in the description box, one of which is LegalShield. And LegalShield is essentially like having legal insurance for a small monthly fee. And it gives you access to attorneys in all areas without the hourly rates, which we know can add up fast when we have legal matters that come up, and at a fraction of the cost. So you can give me a call. Number is below if you want to find out more information. Again, if you like this podcast today, please like, share, and subscribe. So now, without further ado, I want to introduce our guest today, Heather Holmes. Hello, Heather.
Hello. So I'm so happy to be back here. And I haven't gotten to talk to you. Well, we talk off camera, but I haven't gotten to really share with the audience and you. And I will be speaking at the Quantum Summit as
Yes.
well. I did last year and I'll be speaking there again this year. And it's an amazing event. I encourage everybody that can go to go. The knowledge base there is spectacular, and you will learn things that will blow your mind as much as you think you might know.
Yeah.
It's not even close. So please go and support the speakers that are there and meet great people,
Yeah.
because there are like-minded people there that you'll get to know, and it's just a wonderful experience.
Yeah, and the other thing for us to realize too is that, a lot of you guys out there that watch, you have your favorites, you have those people that you really resonate with. This is a great opportunity to get personal with these people. We're going to have the gala, we're going to have, be eating and dancing and doing karaoke together, and it's just such a nice opportunity to relate to one another on a human level, where there's no cameras, there's no podcasts and the separation of that. So it's going to really be a celebration. And hopefully from now, another month. I mean, we've seen what's been happening just over the last 2 weeks since the inauguration. So, Lord only knows what we're going to see happening and what great things we're gonna be able to talk about a month from now. So I just want to, for anybody who maybe hasn't seen you on Mel's show before and they're new, I just want to tell them a little bit about you. Heather is a probiotic expert, health educator, and innovator. And for the last 14 years, she has been advancing soil probiotic-based products into the consumer and functional medical marketplace to address the increasing population of autoimmune sufferers and wellness enthusiasts. So, where I'd like to start, Heather, is, here we are, right? We're now in February of 2025. We had the inauguration. Trump is back in office. We've seen sort of this, oh gosh, just things take off with all these initiatives, executive orders, the team that he's putting together in all aspects of our government, the defunding that he's doing in so many areas that we know have been filled with corruption and detrimental effects on us, here in this country and throughout the world. And so I want to really talk about, now that we're moving into this new earth and we've got a person like RFK and all of his initiatives that are, going forward to clean up the earth and our food and bring a healthier, um, just an overall healthier robustness to how we should be living and how, should have been living all these years. So let's just kind of jump in, and I'd love to hear your take on where we are and where you think we're going. And then we'll chat a little bit about, personally what you're doing, for this cause.
Well, thank you. I think where we are, we have to look at where we've been because from my perspective on health, um, people have gotten sicker and sicker. And we all know this. We all know that there were adverse things that happened with the code shot, with the shot. And, they're slowly starting to come out. And unfortunately, a lot of people have experienced heart issues, blood related heart issues that they never have before, increased autoimmune disease and cancer, unfortunately. And so all of these things have been systematic. And I believe that we really got ourselves into an epidemic, another pandemic, as I call it, which is bacteria. I mean, we're really at a point because of the overuse of antibiotics, over sanitization and disinfecting and all of the hand gels. We've been consistently killing all of our good bacteria to the point where it's turning on us, and it has been turning back on us. And what I mean by that is you can look at MRSA, increase in staff. You don't want to go to the hospital because inevitably you're going to get some sort of infection there. And it's because they keep disinfecting. It's like a lesson in futility. And what we really need to be thinking about is all the areas and the ways that we can turn the tables on the bacteria that harms us. And that the best thing to do is to replenish and repopulate as much good bacteria as possible. And this has been my talk track for 15 years. So this isn't like something that I just discovered. I kind of saw it and was guided to really go down this path. And, as I've gone down this path working with functional medicine and integrative medicine practitioners, and my background is almost 20 years in Western medicine, sterilization, cardiac, vascular, arteries, veins, stents, you name it. I've been there. And so I really do have a good grasp on how things work in the body. And most definitely over the last 15 years, really understand how bacteria affects us in everything, not just in us or on us, but completely around us as well. So what I talk about is something that no one ever talks about. And that is what happens with all of these things that I just talked about. It's not enough just to put good bacteria there. We have to change our mindsets. We have to change the way that we clean our environments, our bodies, our mouths, what we do for our animals, and not just our pets, but even the animals that feed us, and how we take care of, you mentioned it, soil, and how we look at things holistically from everything in the morning when we get up, all the places we go, all the things we do come back into our home environment, and we're picking them up throughout the day. And we know that we've been dealing with toxins in many different forms for many, many years. And I think one of the things RFK is going to be doing is helping to eliminate a lot of those factors. But the one area that I want to work with him on is looking at all of the government areas where food is processed or people are taken care of from a health standpoint. And in particular, the USDA food processing plants and the hospitals. The food processing plants have to use a high level disinfectant. They cannot pass their tests of cleanliness. So they have to redo the tests over and over again until they kind of get a pass before they can even start processing for the day. And they can't do it. And if you're wondering where all the salmonella and listeria recalls are coming from, it's because of the cleaning practices that they must do.
Yeah,
And
it's like
they're not
it's
working.
just a vicious cycle, right? It's
It
just
is
a
the
vicious cycle
hamster
that
wheel.
keeps. Yeah, yeah. Now, so just on that subject, because I'm very passionate about animals and and their treatment, and clearly, though I'm a vegetarian, that I don't have a judgment about other people and what they choose to eat and what they do. However, what I have issue with is the way in which that animal becomes food and gets to us, and how is it being done, not only from a humane standpoint, right? Because it's so inhumane what's happened with the shift from the family farm and the farming, the factory farms, but also the like I'm just looking at it, and I'm not a scientist like you are, in any way, but you just have to figure that aside from everything you're talking about on a scientific standpoint, right, with the over sanitizing and all of that, you also have just the toxins when these animals, the way things are happening and the fear and the terror of what's happening, the way in which it's being done, isn't that releasing even more? Isn't that even like affecting the health? So it's kind of like a whole overhaul, the way I look at it, that we have to re-examine, how this is being done and put all these pieces. So people like you, with the knowledge you bring and being able to bring that to let's say the policymakers or the decision makers like an RFK are the ones who are going to be helping to implement new ways of doing this. So, like, tell us a little bit more about how what that looks like. You know what I'm saying? Like, we kind of know
Yep,
what the
yep, yep, yep.
problem is. So now, what does the solution start to look like?
Right. So we haven't gotten to that part yet, but we had to look back to kind of see what was happening. And you touched on something that I want to really say here is, you know, we've been brainwashed in into what we think is clean or healthy or whatever. And we've been sold by marketers, right, for a very long time. So I think going into this new paradigm, it's, and I think that the pandemic woke a lot of people up as far as this is concerned about their health. And gosh, you know what? We want to know what's in our products. We want good, clean products. We want products that actually do something that work for us. We want products that we know are, I'm going to call it made with love, because the one thing that I've always stood by is I am doing this because I love people, pets, and the planet, and I want to make it better. And that's why I'm here. And, you know, I do believe that the what's emerging right now, and there are a lot of us, um, we have been kind of waiting in the wings because I've stayed under the radar and built the company staying under the radar. But now we're ready to just soar and share and educate and guide and, you know, be part of the solution, not the problem. And also providing products and things that are actually part of the greater good. and are benefiting the greater good that keep vibration high. And I think that's one of the things that I know about everything that I've done is they're built around high vibration. And I believe that the products that I created and have been creating have been for the new earth and have been for high in a very high vibrationally um you know aspect to them. And I think that, that I'll bring it back to the summit. There are people like me there and that have ideas and have solutions, not just in health products, but, in finance, in, other aspects of our lives. And I think that we need a village. It takes a village, and we're part of it. And people watching, anybody watching this right now, I know that you are part of this as well. And we all have a role to play in this. And I'm really excited about what's to come, honestly, Elisa, because not just working with policymakers, but we're ready to get our products out to the mainstream so that we can start creating health straight across the board. And one of the things I should mention is I don't just work with consumer products. I work with livestock. I work with, we have products for that. And I really truly understand what happens in the continuum of an animal, even a plant growing, and the soil that it grows in, and how they fertilize it, and how it gets carried through the whole process to the store. I've done podcasts on that. So when I talk about this, I'm looking at health in a very broad sense, a very holistic way to do exactly what you said, which is to look at how the animals are treated, how they what is used to treat the animals, because it's a cesspool in a barn. How can we keep these animals healthy in a way that's not with chemicals or with antibiotics, and how do we stop the spread of superbugs so that we don't even have an issue? And that goes to the animals, it goes to the buildings that we work in, it goes to our homes, it goes to hospitals, and where our elderly are cared for. And so my job, as I have seen it, and that is important to me, is to keep developing things that bring health to all of these different aspects, and to look at the broad picture of where we can get the probiotics to work for all of these things that we need them to do.
Yeah, it's holistic, and I think across the board, like people are starting to realize that whether it's your personal health, whether it's your mental health, like there's no breakdown, just one little thing. Everything is holistic. Everything affects the other and interconnects, and especially when it comes to our food and, the soil. Like I had an instance with a friend who was saying he wanted, he had to do some weeding outside. This was last spring. He's like, he's like, I got to get, put Roundup. And I literally almost had like a nervous breakdown, like within that amount of time, and I was like, Roundup. I was like, I was like, don't you read? Like, don't you know what's going on and how bad that is? And he's like, well, I'll get something different after I finish this. I said, but do you understand that this is going into the ground? That this is not just about killing that weed. This is going your water, like it affects everything. It's affecting you. You're not.
Yes.
So I think this education process also, like we've been taught to live in these little bubbles, like if you do this over here, it has no effect on what's going on over here, and
Right.
that's just not the case. So I love what you're saying about how everything is this big everything is interconnected, and especially when it comes to our food and it comes to the way we view our food and the way we, treat it, and are we treating it and treating these animals with some sense of reverence? Like I think of the Native Americans, that before when they would kill an animal, it was, they were thankful, they had gratitude that this animal spirit and life was helping sustain them. And, most of us aren't gonna, have that ceremony, when we go into Stop and Shop, right? And we pick out a steak or something. But there's a sense that that is important, to be honoring, like, how we're all interconnected and we're all helping each other, live on this earth. So tell me a little bit, we've all had some interaction over, I'm going to go on a limb here and say 30 to 40 years with autoimmune diseases, right? I mean, we know someone, we've heard it. I think doctors, with all due respect to what they do, I think when they don't know how to classify something, oh, it's autoimmune, and it's like, oh, and then you hear people saying, I have an autoimmune disease. And I don't even think people know what that means, right? It's just this buzzword that everybody's using. Can you shed some light
I
on
can.
what that is and what, like, why we're in this state, or what causes it, et cetera?
Yeah. Well, there are many different factors. I mean, if we think about the fact that, just because you have a disease, it doesn't mean it is that disease. It's called dis-ease, right? It's a dis-ease. And so it could have come from a mental space, an emotional space, a physical space, right? Mental, physical, spiritual, or a spiritual space. So we've got, when we look at dis-ease, we have to go to the source of that disease. And that's where a lot of the, you know, um, quantum devices that are out there, AO scanner, things like that, that can really get down to the nitty gritty. For me personally, the Healy has been my go-to because that's the only one that really looks at you mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. And I originally bought it to infuse frequency into our products before they go out, by the way.
And what is
But
that, just for anybody who's not familiar with that? Can you just a little bit of
the
a,
Healy is a quantum device that fits in your hand, and many of the people watching might probably know about it. But it's based off of time waver technology, and time waver has been used by functional and integrative practices for 35 years, I think, or 40. And so they had a quantum physicist Buddhist monk basically put it into this handheld device, and it can actually read you. It talks to your body.
okay?
Your body, everybody has their emits their own energy signature. So it will read that, and the body will tell it where the imbalances are. So it will give you 5 areas that you're imbalanced. You can either run vibration to help correct those, or you can delve down into frequency programs. So there are over 10 million plus frequency in this device. And if I do vibration, I can send it across the country to somebody, or to a plant or a pet or a building or whatever I want to do. But it's a wonderful device. And I think initially they just didn't do enough training on it. And it's not complicated once you really understand. And I use it very simply. And it gives me the information that I need. But I really think that it's going to take devices like that. I know Mel has his EEC system, or what
Hmm?
it's, and we'll have that at the Quantum Summit. And there are watches, there are all sorts of stuff. I think you have to use what resonates with you,
Yeah.
and what you feel is best for you, and that's what I feel is best for me. And we can provide a link for people if they're interested and they can go take a look at
Sure,
it.
sure.
But what I would say about that is with autoimmune disease, we'll go back to that for a minute.
Yeah.
Everything begins and ends with bacteria. Everything. So everything begins with an imbalance of bacteria. What does that mean?
Mhm.
10 good bacteria to every one bad bacteria to keep it in check.
Okay.
Really hard to do. And especially with everything that we deal with in our environments and what we have been, the onslaught that
Yes.
we've had, about 300 pounds of environmental toxins previously.
Yeah.
So it's going to take a while to undo those. But the autoimmune diseases that are occurring now are coming from many different forms. They're coming from what's on our food, what's in our food, what we're breathing, right? What we're touching,
Yeah.
what there's so many different ways that it can happen. But I will say this, if you are in high vibration, truly high vibration, your body will start to heal itself.
Hmm.
But the problem is a lot of people that I found, over 70% of our customers have some sort of autoimmune disease. And what I find in talking to them is they're looking for answers on the outside of themselves instead of inside themselves.
Most of us have been just trained, brainwashed to think from the early age when we first go to school, right? Very early on, that it's looking out. I mean, even not to make a judgment or go into it, but even religion is very much about like looking
Yes.
out, you know? So that is just a systemic problem of form of control that's been used to not let us go inside and realize the power of our consciousness and our, our God-given gift to be able to heal and like you said, on a holistic level, to heal anything, and then whatever, cut back to when Big Pharma came on the scene, then you even went even further to take away kind of the natural products that people used for thousands of years, right? And now it's like
Yeah.
you got to get the brown bottle because that's the way we do it. So I 100% agree with you. It's a mindset shift that people need to understand how they have control to raise their vibration and live in that energy of love and compassion and abundance and happiness and joy. So continue. I had to add that in
Oh
because
no, I love that you said that because, it sounds very trite to say that, right? Oh yeah, okay, I'll just go fix myself and get in high vibration. No, it doesn't work that way. It takes work to get there. I'm sure you would agree that we have to, I don't want to say fight, but we have to make a very conscious effort not to get bogged down in anger, fear,
yeah,
depression,
yeah,
whatever it may be. And it was very hard before the new administration came in because it was a constant battle to stay positive. And
yes,
now we've got some breathing room, and we have to take that, as a gift. And one of the very important things is to stay present. And that is so hard to do, but there are so many gifts and so many messages we get from God, spirit, whatever, in guiding us. And this is going to sound strange because it has nothing to do necessarily with what we're talking about, but it's come up so much lately, which is boundaries. And I think we get ourselves sick sometimes because we maybe we're doing things that we don't want to do for other people, or because they're guilting us into it, or they're beating us over the head for it, or we've got the religious guilt over it. And there are all sorts of things that come into play there. And if we don't put our oxygen mask on first, we're
yes.
not going to be good to anybody else. And so I think that that can is contributing to disease in our bodies also is
It's
the
really going,
environment
yes, and
of
it's going
people
against,
that are in our
as
lives.
like as a coach, that's part of the high vibration training and is a big part of what I do because, you know, it's like you said, first of all, that putting our own oxygen mask on, but what happens is that most people think that if they want to be mindful, and I see this all the time with my clients, like, I don't have time to meditate. And it's like, no, 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 you do. All you need to do, even if you stop throughout the day and take six just beautiful deep breaths and focus on the breath for that 2, 3 minutes, you're cleaning out your mind a little bit. You hit a red light. Okay, you're not going to start meditating, but you could take a few deep breaths or so it's getting people to realize that they can start to bring alignment and presence to their life and train. And it's very interesting, just to add a story. I have a wonderful client and he was going through a really tough time. And we went through all these, things and challenges. And it was so wonderful after working with him for, almost a year. And he says, I realized that probably the best thing I could do is to just sit back and just kind of go into like gratitude for a little while and because it's going to help me raise my vibration. And so, it's little things
Beautiful.
like that. It's not just like it has to be this big thing. You're just trying to get yourself quieted and a sense of peace and a sense of alignment. And again, you brought up this fact, we say disease, but it's dis-ease. So where is that lack of ease coming from? Is it your thoughts? Is it your belief system? Is it what people are telling you? And that does have a lot to do with ultimately how we eat, how we choose our food, how we open ourselves up to the facts and the information. Like we were talking off camera about how we have people
Mhm.
in our lives who just don't want to know, because it's uncomfortable but through that revelation of that information, you're able to vibrate higher because now you're enlightened more about, that you can be a part of the solution and not be a victim.
Yeah. And in I remember this like it was yesterday. So when you're in medical devices and equipment, they always bring in outside people to try to, you know, teach you something that's good for you, especially in management. They would do that with us a lot. And there was one where the guy came in and he said, "You're going to have to decide whether you want to be a victim or an owner."
Wow, I
And
love it.
it always stuck with me. And when I, guy, when we're talking about this, it's not like we're perfect people. Nobody's perfect, and we all slide sometimes, right?
Yeah.
We all slide, and it's how we get out of that that makes the difference, right? If we're in low vibration and we're like, oh my God, I don't have enough money, and you're in that fear mode, and oh my God, it's okay. We get there, but it's bringing your vibration up, and that could be listening to music. It could be what your client did and just taking a moment to be grateful, which we should be doing all the time anyway. Um, and really just calming your body down, calming your mind. I do a lot of meditation in the shower, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
That's my, and I, whether people believe it or not, I see fairies in there and like they're all around and it's kind of a fun time, but I do meditation there. I am really busy, but I will literally close my computer, put my phone on silent, and just sit there for 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's
Just
all you need.
silence.
That's all you need. Like
And
people,
that's the point.
you
You
got to have
don't have
candles
to,
and
oh
lights.
my God, I can't meditate.
Yeah.
I have to do it for an hour or an hour and a half. Yeah. And I have to block everything else out of my mind. And it's okay. As I'm sitting there, things are going through my mind, but I'm not holding on to them. I'm just letting them pass through. So getting back to autoimmune disease, all of these things play a part and they're important. And but the one thing that is a big contributor to autoimmune disease is the one thing that I concentrate on and talk about, which is biofilm.
I was going to just ask you to segue into that. Thank you.
Yeah. So, biofilm, when you were talking about how the doctors were assessing people and, oh, it's an autoimmune disease, it's an autoimmune disease. Okay, so I I was at the International Functional Medicine show, and I was walking around asking physicians, um, so where do you think like autoimmune starts? Where do you think it begins? And they're like, what? And they said, be more specific. I said, well, in everything that I've looked at, I think that everything starts with Epstein-Barr. And they're like, and I said, because everything escalates off of that. So if we are treating people for Epstein-Barr initially, that would make a lot more sense. And that goes to imbalance of bacteria. So why are we not starting there? And so that's one of the things that I have always thought about, and I challenge physicians. And the other thing I challenge them with is, you know, where do you envision probiotics can be used? And they're like, well, in the gut, maybe the skin. I'm like, oh my God, they're not thinking. So even functional medicine physicians, I'm generalizing, I'm not saying all of them
Right, of course, of course.
are in that mindset, and they're pushing supplements just like doctors push blood pressure medications, pills, whatever, because they're not thinking big enough.
Yeah.
So that's why I talked about the frequency medicine, so on and so forth. So biofilm. Biofilm is and if you want to share your screen, I can probably put a picture up here of it
Sure.
because I did. Where is my picture?
Are you able to share? Are you able to do the share?
Yeah,
Okay, so you want to share from your end?
yeah, I'll share from my end.
Perfect.
So you let me share.
Um, are you able to? I'm not the best with this. I'm trying to see how I give you. Oh, wait, there you do.
Oh,
There
wait.
you go.
Okay. Oh, good. Oh, good, 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 good. Okay, so I'm going to pull this up right now.
Okay.
So this is biofilm. Now, biofilm, even though you are going, I don't know what the heck that is. Or if you've heard me before, then you know what it is.
Well, I've heard you, yeah, but for our
But,
audience, of course,
but
we
no, I'm
want to,
just saying people that
yes,
might
and
be
other
watching right
people.
now.
Yeah.
But the biofilm forms when the bad bacteria are not in check by the good bacteria. So what they'll do, for instance, in your gut, they will abscond every mineral they can possibly take, as well as platelets. So when people have platelet degradation deficiency, it's because they have biofilm. Okay. So this biofilm looks like this under a microscope. It's sticky, it's gluey, and it's formed by the bad bacteria
Mm-hmm.
as they gather these minerals and platelets and resources, and they excrete, for lack of a better term, sugar, exopolysaccharides. Okay. And proteins and everything else. And they excrete this so that they can adhere themselves to contact lenses, stainless steel, granite countertops, create moldy shower curtains, eczema,
Really?
psoriasis on the skin, sinus infections, pneumonia. In other words, biofilms responsible for up to 80% of all disease and infection that exists today.
Wow.
Okay. So, and it's not just bacteria that live in the biofilm. So does fungus, mold, viruses. So you have an algae and everything else. And so bad bacteria isn't bad. We need it. We need mold. We need fungus. We need all these things. It's only bad when it gets in this biofilm because it can replicate so rapidly and become so virulent in such a short period of time. This is why we have the listeria outbreaks and the salmonella outbreaks in our food. Okay. This is responsible for that. And E. coli, as an example, living in this biofilm shelter, it is a shelter, an impervious shelter, like 1,000 sheets of plastic wrap. And there's not a cleaner in existence that before us, no bleach, no disinfectant, no sanitizer, no anything, no alcohol, no hydrogen peroxide, no vinegar, nothing can get rid of this biofilm layer. You need the biologic component. You need the soil spores to get rid of this and keep it from coming back. It's the only hope you have of getting rid of this and preventing it from returning, because the biofilm now is on everything. And this is the culprit for autoimmune disease. This is the culprit for endocarditis, myocarditis. This is the culprit for the plaque in our arteries where we get stents, whether it's our heart, whether it's our legs, our kidneys, whatever. And I used to do that. But, you know, this is the problem. And I want people to see what it looks like because it's microscopic and you can't see it, but you know it as the plaque on your teeth.
Right.
So I'll go back to E. coli. E. coli living in this biofilm can replicate in 24 hours enough that you could stack it to the sun and back 100 trillion gazillion times in 24 hours. These things, this is why we have staph infections in hospitals and MRSA. And we had that CRE that, sorry, not CRE. That's the worst form of MRSA now. Candida auris that ate out the walls and the floors in the hospital in New York.
Wow.
So I'm not here to scare you. I want you to be aware of the fact that this is one of the major contributing factors to autoimmune disease. And there's not a functional physician that wouldn't agree with me because they know it. Lyme disease, fibromyalgia, all of these things. And so the moral of the story is, and I was actually talking to a friend of mine for whom Hackensack Medical Center in New Jersey built him his own research and innovation center. And he is actually the one that did our Rutgers study for us in their bioterrorism lab.
Wow.
On our products, where it showed we're 100% effective against the worst molds, the worst fungus, the worst bacteria. We're 100% effective, but we don't kill anything. And as we go forward, we need to be thinking about the fact that we cannot kill bacteria, whether it's with an essential oil or whatever. We cannot kill it anymore. We have to get the scales tipped back.
Yeah.
And that requires all of us repopulating the good bacteria in air, on skin, in surfaces, in our mouth.
So let's talk about that on a very practical level,
Yeah.
like what do we do just as average people? What do we do? And what is it about your products? Like I know you're looking at working with them on a more like industrial level, like when you talk about, the RFK initiatives and all of that and the soil and the food, the animal food source. But now, here we are just average people living in our home trying to do the right thing. So what are those steps or measures that you recommend with
The first, yeah, that's a great question. And the first place I say to start, and keep in mind, I develop products so that you don't have to think about how do I do this, because we've literally covered the gamut. So the base products that I always start people with are, um, I'll take this down, by the way, but I actually want to get down to the bottom. And by the way, this biofilm breaks off
Okay.
and that's how it attaches to everything. So I'm going to get down here to uh, okay. So I thought I had a picture of all the products, but let's stop sharing here right now.
Okay.
And we might share again, but I'm not sure, but we'll get us back. So I always start with surfaces
Okay.
because um, you know, we were brainwashed for so long, and so many people clean with what their mother cleaned with. But I'm finding that, the younger generation isn't so tied to that, and they're looking for cleaner, better alternatives.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you're using a natural cleaning product right now, or, vinegar or whatever, I commend you for at least going in that direction. But the issue is that you're wasting your money. They're not doing anything for you because all they're doing is skimming the surface.
Okay.
That biofilm layer is at the microscopic level. So when we think of detergents and stuff,
Yeah.
that's just getting the top level. So
Okay.
any green product you would use, whatever natural product, that's all it's doing. If you incorporate enzymes, like we used to have scrubbing bubbles, right? Or OxyClean or whatever, um, enzymes will, if I take a pen, if I told you biofilm's 1,000 sheets of plastic wrap, and I have a video on this, by the way, I used a Beanie Baby with plastic wrap around it. But if you took a pen and you poked it,
Mm-hmm.
that's what enzymes do. So they give the appearance that they've solved your issue,
Okay.
but you still haven't gotten to the source.
Got it.
So that biofilm. So all of our products get down to that biofilm level
Mm-hmm.
and outcompete the pathogens that are there.
Okay.
Take away the biofilm, and this happens very quickly. So we starve them basically, so they die their natural death and don't create resistance. And then the probiotics blanket that wherever you apply them so
Okay.
that they can keep the biofilm away. They can balance the bad bacteria that's there by populating enough, never more than plus or minus 10%. They won't override that environment.
Okay.
So the surface cleaner, it's one cleaner for every single thing in the home. This makes 9 gallons. It's extremely economical. And when it cleans for a week. Now, what's really cool about the probiotics when they're cleaning on a surface is every bacteria eats and excretes. So the bad bacteria excrete biofilm. The good bacteria that adheres, that's where it becomes dangerous. The good bacteria excrete, and they're eating and excreting natural biosurfactants.
Okay. Wow.
And that's why they keep cleaning for a week. So this is one of the baseline products. And by the way, when you mix this up, it has no smell. So people that are very sensitive to chemicals and have
Yeah.
allergies and stuff like that, it won't affect them because it has no smell. But the difficulty is people associate smell with clean.
It's clean. Yeah.
So
We've been
it's
trained.
different. But the smell here, when you open the bottle, we only use organic vanilla or organic spearmint. Those are the only two. And we use spearmint because peppermint it can cause a lot of issues in animals as well as humans. So we don't do that. So this cleans literally your bathrooms, your floors, your sinks, beautiful on granite, stainless steel, everything. Literally
Wow.
everything.
Wow.
Yep. Second product is our mouthwash. Your mouth is your gateway to your brain and your gut health. So whatever mouthwash you're using, even if you don't use mouthwash, it will probably contain some type of alcohol or something like that,
Or worse. Yeah.
or worse. Um, and so we have no alcohol in our stuff. We have no phthalates. We have no GMOs. We don't have chemicals. We don't have any of that. Our ingredients are very simple, but it's the beauty of the combination of the soil spores. Let's talk about that for 1 second. What you see lining the shelves are plant-based products, including yogurts and things like that. Our cultures, they're very temperature sensitive and they require sugar to stay alive. They do not have long shelf life unless they're refrigerated or preserved by sugar or something. So, and then even then they don't have long shelf life. Our shelf life is at least 3 years. We've tested out to 5 and 6. So we keep the probiotics sleeping in the bottle until you activate them with water.
Oh, okay.
And then they live their life, which is usually a week. So the mouthwash is also excellent for soaking mouth guards and retainers.
Okay.
You put it on your toothbrush to keep it clean because when you flush, everything goes all over your bathroom, including your toothbrush.
Yeah.
And it truly, if you read our reviews, it truly takes plaque off the teeth. It whitens the teeth. It helps with gingivitis, dental caries, periodontal disease. It helps remineralize teeth. So it's really an amazing product. So you need this to keep the plaque because when you brush your teeth, you loosen plaque. It goes into your system.
Right, right. We never think of
Okay.
right.
Mm-hmm. And then we've got, oh, I don't have the body wash here right now, but the body wash is super important. And I grabbed the pet shampoo instead. So sorry about that. But the body wash is unbelievable because it does get down into your epidermis, into several layers of your skin. So it gets deep into your skin and it coats your skin for 24 hours. So it is when
Oh,
you're going out there, your hands should definitely be washed in it. And your body, it rinses clean. So there's no smell in your skin afterwards. And you shouldn't smell in your skin. And I'm going to bring this up. I had inadvertently like bought a travel thing. I thought it was lotion. I thought it was a Vino lotion. I shouldn't even mention the thing, but it ended up being the body wash. So I'm like, oh, I'll just clean out this bottle and put my body wash in it for travel. I can't get the smell out of that stinking bottle. I
wow.
have put our cleaner gets rid of every smell like that you can imagine. I washed it 20 times. Nothing, if it's good for you, it should never ever linger like that. Ever. So keep that in mind when you're buying products and you're looking at products. That smell should not linger in that bottle.
Yeah,
Okay.
good point.
Then that comes in this spray bottle for pets. This takes skunk odor out. It really does. And we do a refill, but we have an allergy asthma sinus spray that comes in this too. And you can see you can spray a broad range. The allergy product is what got me off of 20 years of antibiotics.
Mm.
So I swear by this. And one of the things you wanted me to talk about is, we all got the crud. We think it's from the fog. I haven't had any sickness, anything in the 15 years I've had this company. And I got the crud in my ears, in the back of my throat, really thick mucus. And I nebulized with the mouthwash. And then I followed with the allergy asthma spray up my nose and in my ears. And I actually took the nebulizer thing and put it in my ears. I loaded up on vitamin C and D and zinc. And that's all I did. And I think what happens is people don't give their bodies
Yeah.
enough time to process the
Sure.
illness. It comes out in your stools, in your skin, in your nose. It wasn't coming out of my nose. It didn't go into my chest. And so it was lingering there, and I had to thin it enough that it would get out of my body, but there's still a little something that's lingering there. And we were talking about that. But the fog, there are a lot of videos on the fog, and I do believe that, it came from the fog, and a lot of us are getting sick all at the same time with various things. And so, the my products are a definite thing to have in your arsenal. And in particular, any type of sinus, um, nebulizing the mouthwash and spraying the allergy spray and stuff in your nose, spraying it in your air, all over your furniture, your bedding. I washed my bedding. I sprayed each layer. I sprayed the allergy spray all over my bedding. It eats the excrement of the dust mite, which is the second leading cause of allergies. And then, so it's the body wash, the mouthwash, the surface cleaner, and um, the allergy spray that I always encourage people to start with. And we have a really nice kit for that on the website. And then don't forget your furry friends, because they need stuff in their food. Um, I'm not going to go into it now, but we cover you, even your gut. And by the way, when I was talking to my Rutgers infectious disease doctor, he said, well, we found that in the gut, it's not just bacteria causing autoimmune, it's fungus as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Fungus lives in biofilm. So we go back to the source, which is biofilm.
Yeah.
So we've got products that go in your pet's food. You can bathe them, and that you can spray them down with. I do that with my dog. It stops her eye goops. I get in her face and her ears. It keeps her coat beautiful in between cleanings. And then we talked about our food. So we have a wonderful fruit and veggie wash,
Okay.
which is really important because if you think about how many people handled your stuff in the store, water does not get off more than 30% of what's there, and it does not get rid of pathogens. It's just getting 30% of the dirt off.
Yeah.
This helps with the wax too, and all of that. So I encourage people to get this. I don't have any fruit or vegetable that I do. I use it on everything, and I actually clean my meats with this and the tray that the meat was in, because it'll take the odor.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Yep. I At Thanksgiving time, I clean my turkey with it inside
really
and yeah. I clean the sink first. I clean the turkey. Yeah. So it's a really cool product. And then we have stuff for the washing machine and your
so all of
skin.
this is on your website.
All on the website. And we have a
Yeah.
10% discount for everybody
Okay.
with a code. And, we're coming out with, and it's really exciting, and we'll probably have it by the summit. One of the areas that I hope to affect greatly and that I want to work with the administration on, because it's such a huge drain on the system, which is wounds, non-healing wounds. And wounds do not heal either because they have biofilm on them, and the wound care does not get rid of biofilm. And that is the biggest impediment to wound healing. But then it also is diet and, you know, autoimmune and various things. So your blood's very important. So we have a blood and gut kit. And if you took the shot, or anybody that took the shot, we have protocols on there to wean them off of their blood pressure medication, their blood thinners. The blood product we have actually breaks up clots in 4 to 6 hours naturally, and it also gets rid of the spike protein. But your blood and your gut work very much in tandem with each other.
Yeah.
It's very important to have both products for the getting rid of biofilm and keeping your blood healthy, because your liver will carry fibrin. If you've got biofilm, it will carry fibrin to your brain across the blood-brain barrier, and that is contributing to Alzheimer's and the tangles of Alzheimer's.
And I,
So
I, I just want to say, like, we've focused on the shot, but let's remember how many decades of other shots that I'm sure were just as, maybe not the same, but the toxins, because we can see from the autism
the
rates,
flu shot,
the flu shots. So I
all of the
would
shots
say
for,
that
yeah,
anybody, right? And, listen, I
yeah,
mean, I'm
true,
guilty
true,
of not
good
knowing
point.
20 years ago and all this kind of stuff, before a lot of us became enlightened and understood what was going on. So all of us really could use detoxing in this way, even if you didn't take the last shot. I think there's benefit because we've all gotten these toxins one way or another, right?
Yeah, no question. And the aging population, this is very important to stay well. We
Yeah.
want to look at wellness products, right?
Yeah.
So this is a lifestyle brand, but as you said, we're working with livestock, with cleaning HVAC coils. We have stuff for marijuana growers also to stop the spider mites and powdery mildew. We've got stuff for algae, for ponds, stuff for waterways, stuff for, and now this our wound care, and we're launching it in consumer first. And what's popping up all over the place are the Mohs centers, MOHS, for all the skin cancer. And what's happening is I mean, they're popping up every minute, and they're doing like 30 procedures a day now. I mean, it's crazy. So, many of you listening might have had Mohs surgery, and I'm sure your doctor said, go to the drugstore and get Vaseline or Aquaphor and put it on your wound. I said this to my infectious disease doctor the other night I was talking to, and he literally on our Zoom sat back like this and went, "What?" And he goes, "That's the absolute worst thing you can do on a wound." And I said, "I know." So there really hasn't been a good alternative. So I'm really excited about the wound product,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
now all of the people that are getting Mohs have something good that they can put on there that's going to help heal that. The body will heal the wound faster and it will protect it.
Yeah.
So
Oh, this has been so great. This is such a joy, and I know we could just keep going and going.
yeah, we've covered a lot of
But
ground
we
today.
covered a
So
lot of ground, and of course, there's the opportunity to hear you speak and share a lot of this information. I'm going to put your information in the description box, so make sure you send me, the website and everything if you haven't already.
yeah,
We'll get that in there, and we're going to have to look at what some of these individual things that we may want to kind of discuss and put a bigger emphasis on in future shows, where we take certain things. I think that especially with the launch of some of these new products and the more that you move towards working with this administration, right? There's going to be tons of interesting things to hear and to find out from you. But in the meantime, we're going to see each other and hopefully a lot of
I
people
can't
watching
wait.
at the summit. Yeah. Heather, this has been so amazing. I thank you for all the time today. And again, you guys, if you found this helpful, please share it. This is some really important information that we need to share in our community and beyond. And till next time, I'm Elisa V, wishing you a high vibe day. Stay in the energy of love, abundance, and compassion. And we'll see
That's
you
so true.
soon.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Hi, Elisa V here. Did you know that medical bills are the leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States, accounting for 66.5% of bankruptcies? In fact, in 2022, 17% of adults with healthcare debt either declared bankruptcy or lost their homes due to it. We can all agree that the healthcare system is broken. Well, there is an alternative that I want to tell you about. It is impact health sharing, which Yahoo News is calling the disruptor in the $4.6 trillion healthcare system. With impact health sharing, you can choose the doctors, clinics, and naturopaths that you want with less restrictive guidelines. Medical bills are reduced to their fair market value, and premiums are 30 to 72% cheaper than competitors. Plus, Impact Health incentivizes healthy habits like supplements, gym visits, and therapy. Call 844-275-1056 and use the code Mel Carmine for a free quote today.